Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Paper Wishes Weekly Webisodes. I'm Sarah Newman, and I'm so excited to share new releases in the Textures collection from our friends in the UK at Practical Publishing. Today, we're going to play with two different dies and a stencil. These are all great basics for your crafting toolbox and really ideal for adding easy texture and style to your cards. So we have the Hessian texture die. We have the partial brick die set, which you can see has two different designs. And we have the splattered ink stencil, which is a lot of fun. I have 4 cards to share with you today, and these will use papers from the 12 by 12 Secret Garden paper pack. Now, this set has 12 coordinating papers, plus it also has in the back here a sheet of cutouts. And these are going to work beautifully with our dies and stencil. Now, also to go along, I'm going to be working with the coordinating Secret Garden cardstock set. You can see all of the beautiful colors down here. And then as well, the Secret Garden die cut collection. So everything is going to come together in fun, bright, colorful, and cheerful cards for springtime or really any time of the year. As you can see, we have a lot to explore today, and I'm so glad that you're here. So come play with us. Let's start with some simple texture layering using the Hessian die. Now, this is one of my favorites because you can really add instant texture to cards of any theme or for any occasion. It's super versatile. Now, the die itself is measuring 6 inches by 4 1/4, so it's a really perfect fit on a standard 5 by 6.5 inch card. So here I have a card covered with paper from the Secret Garden collection. Now, this is beautiful as it is, and I could just take an embellishment, maybe one of the cutouts from the collection, mount it up onto a scallop square, just pop it down, and I've got a great card ready to go. But adding a bit of that Hessian just creates a really nice middle layer. So I'm just going to pop that down and add my embellishment on the front. So now I've got some texture and dimension on here. Now I can choose to use it as is, and I've die cut this from a piece of the coordinating Secret Garden cardstock. I can also layer this up onto a contrasting piece of cardstock, even just a plain white, and that's going to give me even more texture and dimension. Now, when you're getting ready to glue down something as intricate as this die, I really recommend that you go with the sticky specs. These are micro dot adhesive, and you can see on the picture here, you'll just take your die cut, press it onto the micro dots, lift, and then you can apply it to your surface. And it really does make a big difference, especially when you're trying to avoid having glue sort of squashing through a wet adhesive or glue stick. Doesn't quite do the trick as well as the sticky specs. So definitely a recommendation from me. Okay, so this is how easily you can use it to put your Hessian die to work. I've got another card here, again cut from pink cardstock, layered onto white before being placed onto the card front. Now I have a strip of the pattern paper and then a layered scallop circle die cut with a dazzle message on here. On the card inside, I have some more of that Secret Garden paper, and this is one of my favorite designs from the collection. Really pretty. And I've got another little dazzle just layered right in here. Okay, so this is one simple way to add texture. Let's take a look at some ways to use the partial brick dies. Here's a card using one of the 2 designs from the partial brick collection. And this set has 2 different designs, both of which are super versatile and a lot of fun to use. So we have here what I'm calling the modern brick style, and this is like lots of nice straight lines, very evenly spaced, and what I'm calling the cottage brick, which has a bit of an old world style to it. Now, both of these designs have the brick as well as a frame. Now, what this will allow you to do is cut them together to create borders or cut them separately so that you can have inset designs. And we'll take a look at both of those options. But let's look at the basic process first of all, and we'll just use our cottage style. If you're die cutting just the frame, so just this piece here, you'll create a piece that looks like this, okay? And then if you decide to die cut both of these two together, so nesting them together, running them through your die cutting machine, you will create a piece that looks like this. So this can be used as is. You can also pop it on top of the silhouette, and then you've got a border or a card focal, something right in the center off to the side. So lots of different options with this. So let's go back to our card. Again, let me take another look at this with you. Now, in this case, I'm using the cottage brick design. Now, the die, it measures about 5 3/4 inches long. Now, with a slimline card, that of course is going to be longer, and this is 8.5 inches long. So what you can do is simply die cut 2 of these, and because it's a repeating pattern, you're able to simply overlap. So I've got 2 different colors here. I think you can still see this. You can overlap them a lot just to have it be a little bit longer, or you can do it just to align. I'm going by these ones right here. Align those bricks so the pattern can elongate. You could actually have this long enough for a 12 by 12 scrapbook page. So again, lots of versatility with the bricks, and I really, really like this. Now, what I've done here with the card is simply added 2 of those pieces together. Of course, I've got this mounted onto white cardstock, and the green I'm using is from the Secret Garden cardstock collection. Now, I put this onto a slimline card, which is covered with this absolutely gorgeous pattern paper. And I inked around the outside edge of this using the olive green prism ink pad. That's just going to give a little bit of extra definition on there. Then I just put the matted focal on top, and the Oh Happy Day is a die cut. So it's just perfect in combination with the nested scallop circle dies. Then on the card inside, I have more of that stunning pattern paper, also inked along the edges here too. And I've got just a little snippet of the brick pattern. So you can adapt it to have it be longer. You can also cut it apart just with a pair of scissors. Okay, now let's take a look at another card, again using the bricks. And in this case, I've done this as an inset design. Now let's take a look at this process because this is really easy to do and also gives you a great way to create kind of a peekaboo style of card. So in this case, I've covered my card front first with pattern paper. So here's an example. We'll just kind of walk through this. I've got my card front covered with my pattern paper. When you do this, I recommend that you use glue stick and really cover the entire card front before putting your pattern paper on top. And then what you'll do is take your brick die, pop it down on the front of your card. Do secure it down. I recommend you use some of the hunky-dory tape. This is going to hold it in place without ripping your paper, but it will also prevent it from kind of sliding around. Before you die cut it, be sure to open up your card so that you're only cutting through the front panel, okay? And then you'll have another pattern paper from that same collection. Then you will have a piece that looks like this. So you can see I've cut through just that front panel, and you can see the white of the back of my card, or the inside of my card. Now you can leave this as is, or you can die cut the frame and glue this on top just to add a little bit of extra definition. Now in this case, I've used the blue from the cardstock set. In my original card, I've used white to have a little pop of contrast, but I wanted you to be able to see both of those side by side so that you can see how you can get some different effects. And of course, I'm using the same pattern paper on here. Again, just so much versatility with this. Now, what you can do is line the inside of your card with some contrasting pattern paper so that you have something to look through as you're opening the card. And this is, again, one of my absolute favorites from that paper pack. And what I've done here on the front, I've got one of the circular embellishments that I've done some die cutting and layering with, a dazzle sentiment on there. And then for the card inside, I've backed that because I had a little bit peeking through. And so I thought I would just carry on my message in here. Okay, so that is our partial brick design. Let's take a look at one more texture, which is the splatter. Behind my modern brick border on my card, you can see some really fun abstract splatters. Now this is made with the splattered ink stencil, which I've used in combination with some Prism dye inks. So let's take a look at the process. I'm going to move aside my card, and I'm just going to bring in a piece of smooth white cardstock and pop that right underneath my stencil. Now I'm going to grab a little bit of that hunky-dory tape and use this to kind of tack things down, just to make sure that my stencil or my cardstock doesn't go walking away from me. So grab another piece here, and we can get to coloring. Now I'm working with 3 different colors of Prism dye inks. So I've got the Dusky Rose, Mauve Moment, and Black Currant Jam. Now dye inks are ideal for this technique because they're well suited to blending and they can be combined. Okay, so I'm going to just take off the lids of each one of these and we'll be ready to go. Now I'm using the hot off the press blending tool. This is what I'm going to use to apply my ink through my stencil onto my cardstock. Okay, so I'm going to pick up a little bit of color here and then just work this right through my stencil on here. And I'm going to go in some different areas, pick up some different shades of these beautiful kind of pink and plum colors. They all go really nicely together. Now you'll notice that I'm not cleaning my brush in between switching ink colors, and that's because these ink colors are all pretty much within the same family. So I'm not too worried about working with a dirty brush. But of course I will clean my brush when I get done for the day. And I just use a little bit of dishwashing soap and some water, and then just let the bristles air dry. Okay, so just a gentle circular motion on here, and that's going to give me my application, my ink application. You can see the different colors, the different shades on here. So I'm going to just pop on the lids and get those ink pads out of the way and lift off my stencil, and you can see how fun that splatter pattern is and how I've managed to get some different shades of those beautiful colors in there. So then coming back to my card, you can see I have the splatters as my background with the brick die cut on top and then a circle die cut message. Then on the inside of my card, I've got some more of those splatters and the rest of my dazzle message here. So this is our 4th card today. So we've been looking at adding texture with splatters, with brick, and with hessian. So I think you can see how very versatile these tools are for creating texture and style on our cards. Now again, I've used all of these with spring-like floral papers and colors, but I think they would also look really cool in different color palettes too. So if you imagine maybe going into a vintage color palette and imagine these splatters in brown or black ink, maybe think of the brick as being cut from a red cardstock and maybe that hessian from a brown or a craft cardstock. You can see that you'll have a lot of different options. Thank you so much for joining me today, and a really big thank you for being a part of the Paper Wishes family. We're awfully glad that you're here with us, and I can't wait to see what you create today. So do be sure to leave a comment. We love to hear what you think. Each item can be purchased separately, and you can see them below. However, we've also bundled them into a creative money saver just for you. For the money saver, just see this webisode on paperwishes.com.